The movie opens in the Boston airport, where we meet our protagonist, Clay. Clay is a writer who has put all his energy into his dark fiction book for the past year. He has been away for a whole year and is finally planning to make his way home. He calls his wife to inform her, and his son Johnny interjects, asking if he is coming home. Before he can answer, his phone battery dies, prompting him to use a payphone. He has a little chit-chat with his wife, but his cash is exhausted fast. He is about to top up when something unusual starts happening within the airport. People seem to be running recklessly and causing a stampede in the process. Clay stands still as the events unfold before his eyes, and he tries to figure out what is happening. Amidst the chaos, he notes that people on their phones start to convulse and turn rogue, after which they attack people aggressively. The pandemonium keeps growing, as everyone is on their heels trying to outrun the vicious creatures. Not far from Clay, a lady picks up a phone and attempts to call the police for help. Unbeknownst to her, the phone's signal is the root cause of what's happening, as it is turning people into the vicious creatures called phoners. She instantly turns into them and bashes her head severely on the wall before leaving. He is brought back to reality when he sees a phoner coming his way, ready to finish him. Luckily, he is saved by a police officer and now becomes fully aware of the situation. He lays down to hide, and things slowly start to calm down. However, he is forced out of his hideout when a plane comes crashing into the building. He makes his way to the underground tunnel, running hastily, as phoners identify him and begin to go after him. They almost catch up with him, but somehow cease chasing him as they seemingly run out of power. A terrified Clay makes his way to the train and is lucky as he meets a group of survivors. They are all trying to call for help, to no avail, due to the lack of signal in the tunnel. He warns them against using their phones to make calls, as it will cause damage. He also understands why the phoners ceased chasing him, as they use signal for their operation. Clay then calls out for the train driver, and a man named Tom steps forward. He reports that the power went off, rendering the train immobile. Additionally, the tunnel is currently acting as a safe haven and won't hold them for long. The tunnel will be filled within 24 hours, since the pumps that pump out groundwater have no one to man them. The only option is for them to exit the tunnel and find a way for themselves. Clay and a second guy named DJ join Tom while the rest of the group opts to remain behind. The trio then proceeds through the dark tunnel, but stop as they spot phoners at the tunnel's exit. They are then ambushed by them and narrowly escape, except for DJ, who is finished off by them. As the duo walk away, we see a clear view of the catastrophe's effect that has left Boston in bad shape. The duo set out to Clay's apartment, which he has rented away from home to work on his comic book. They get there, and Clay's hard work is evident as his wall is filled with artistic paintings. Shortly afterward, there is a knock at the door, and a lady in a soft voice asks Clay to open up. Ha ha, we all know this trick. Clay opens up, and the lady storms in holding a knife. She is one of his neighbors and is seemingly shaken. She has a breakdown as she had to eliminate her mother in self-defense. Clay calms her down and asks her to take a shower to freshen up. As she takes her shower, he talks to Tom and cites that he will be heading home to trace his family. He has a feeling his son might have survived the ordeal, since he only uses his phone to text and play games. Just then, Alice joins them, and this time feels at ease in the company of the two men. She even affords to rest and asks them to take her with them wherever they go. The following morning, the trio set out to escort Clay home, but are disrupted as they come across a bunch of phoners. Luckily, or unluckily, the phoners are distracted by some survivors who they attack aggressively. This gives Clay's team a chance to make their way across them and resume their walk. After a long stretch, they come across a house whose owner seems to be an aggressive gun enthusiast. They break into the house and are lucky to fetch several firearms and ammunition. As they load up, Alice notices a boy sitting by himself outside. They set out to inspect further, but he turns out to be a phoner, and they quickly eliminate him. However, other phoners spring out of the woods, prompting them to run for their lives as they are overwhelmed by their numbers. After a long chase, they hit a dead end when they reach a vast river and are forced to hide. The phoners get there, but they suddenly freeze, and a twitching effect runs through them. They suddenly turn away and leave in a group as nightfall approaches. After brainstorming for a while, Clay's team realizes that the phoners' systems are somehow interconnected. This is the reason they tracked them down when the kids saw them and knew of their exact location. They are also seemingly programmed to remain inactive at night to recharge their systems. At nightfall, the group resumes their journey, as it is relatively safer since the enemies are inactive. Later on, their attention is drawn when they hear some eerie music playing from a distance. The music seems to be emanating from a school nearby. As they get closer, they bump into the school's headmaster alongside a boy named Jordan. They are the only people present in the school, since everyone else ran for their lives. The headmaster explains that the phoners remain inactive during the night as they enjoy the soft music. He proceeds to show them a sea of phoners lying down in the school's field listening to music. To him, this is an opportunity to destroy them, and he offers an idea to smoke them up. Using a spray tank, they spray gasoline on them and ignite them. All goes well until the fire follows the trail of gasoline to the truck and blows it up. Unfortunately, the headmaster is unlucky as he is severely injured and dies on the spot. Jordan is left broken and left with no choice but to join Clay's team. As daybreak approaches, the group finds shelter to escape the reaches of the now active phoners. They all but doze off, but their sleep is cut short when they all experience a similar nightmare. They all dream about a guy in a red hoodie who torments them. Surprisingly, this is the main character in Clay's fiction book. However, Clay denies having anything to do with the current situation. Before he can elaborate further, they are ambushed by phoners. They put up a spirited fight and manage to eliminate them all. Sadly, Alice is severely injured in the process, and shortly thereafter succumbs to her injuries, to the dismay of the team. After giving her a proper send-off, the trio soldiers on with their journey. Not long after, they come across two other survivors, Ray and Denise, who have been surviving in the woods. Ray is almost going insane, as he hasn't slept for almost a week to keep watch, fearing an ambush by the phoners. The duo has held Denise's brother captive after he became a phoner. He acts as their alert system, as he becomes active when phoners are nearby. However, he is blindfolded to prevent him from revealing their location to his counterparts. Suddenly, he starts talking, but surprisingly, in Clay's son's voice, asking Clay to come and get him. Tom tries holding Clay back, saying it's all a trap, but he doesn't listen. He removes the phoner's blindfold, prompting Tom to shoot him to avoid having their cover blown. They all rush to Ray's truck and take off, but after driving for some time, Ray brings the truck to a halt and walks out. He signals for Clay to follow him into the woods, which Clay does. There, he explains that the red hoodie guy is slowly infiltrating his mind and getting a hold of it as days go by. He offers Clay a cell phone and asks him to use it when the time comes. However, he doesn't get to shed any more light on it as he blows himself up. Clay gets back to his team and proceeds home. They finally get there, and he slowly enters the house, but doesn't see his family. However, all is not lost as he comes across a message left by his son. In it, he mentions that his mom is a phoner, but he survived and headed for Cashwhack, a safe haven for survivors. Clay decides to leave for Cashwhack, but this is opposed heavily by everyone. Denise says it's a trap the phoners have set up to finish off all the survivors who fall for it. However, Clay stands his ground as he is determined to find his son. Meanwhile, Tom inspects the van after growing suspicious about the phone given to Clay by Ray. True to his suspicion, the van is fitted with explosives, and the phone is most likely the detonator. Clay offers them a key to Sharon's vehicle, while he plans to leave in the van by himself. He then hands over a spray can and asks them to mark the route they use for him to follow in case he gets out alive. They all bid him farewell as he drives off into the woods. He finally gets to Cashwack, and true to Denise's word, it's no heaven as he spots thousands of phoners moving around the signal tower. Since it's nighttime and they are inactive, he drives past them into the central zone. There, he spots the mastermind guy in his red hoodie and drives toward him. He crashes into him and shoots him severely, finishing him off. At last, Johnny turns up and hugs him passionately. Suddenly, the phoners start twitching, and Johnny joins them, revealing he is one of them. However, this does not prevent Clay from hugging him tightly. He finally uses the phone given to him by Ray to bring an end to the menace by blowing up the entire area. In the closing scene, Clay and Johnny walk happily, following marks left by Tom to join them. However, this is just an illusion, as Clay has seemingly been infected and become a phoner too. Though it's a sad ending, we get to see a dad's true love.